All right, people, excuse my multitasking abilities. I'm not going to look at the camera much, but I wanted to do a ride along as I just share tips that are top of mind in hopes of it helping someone else in their own path. This one specifically is for vending. So if you're looking into the vending machine industry or are currently doing it, maybe you can share some insights on what you've experienced. But I've been in the vending machine business for about a year now, and I made a couple videos on this, but you know, I'm a big fan of volume and just being authentic, and if the right message hits, then it'll get to the right people at the right time. So one thing that I've learned and pitfalls to avoid in the vending machine business is the machines that you'll get are all going to have issues at some point, and it's really just a matter of finding ones that are worth taking a risk on, per se. You know, I'm a fan of new machines. I think they have their place. You have warranties that you can get with them, and you can definitely save some headaches down the road because you won't have a ton of repairs to be made for the first couple years. In theory, of course, you might have some, but they're typically covered under warranties. The problem that I've found is most machines that you'll buy from any distributor are going to have some type of headache, some form or fashion. And I don't think there's really any provider out there that'll give you a machine that is like 100,000% perfect. And that's just the reality. Like I had a horrible experience with this one manufacturer, and I get it. You know, they have clients all over, and yeah, I might be a headache client, but at the end of the day, if I'm spending, you know, 20 grand for some equipment, I would hope to have some kind of responsive, you know, feedback from the team. So for personal experience, I went with this one company. I won't name drop them because, you know, I haven't had a ton of back-end issues compared to some other people. There's one guy in Ohio that's notorious for shitty service, but this company out of California, they sent me some machines, and I think I bought two as like more of a trial to see how it went, and you know, see how it goes, and then go from there. My God, it is such it's a process to just get the freaking machines up and running. I mean, every provider will have like stock of certain machines that they might have or whatever. And what I ended up doing is I bought these two machines, and I was anticipating getting them delivered on the location at a certain time. The problem is, and this, maybe there's a service out there that I'm not aware of, but the problem is, the second you buy the vending machines, they get sent over to a third-party transportation company or freight company. I always say that wrong. A freight company, at least for me, because I'm out of state from where the manufacturer or the refurbished machine was, or even distributors in general. They're more often than not are always going to outsource the delivery to a transportation or freight company, and then it's up to them to get it to you. So it's like a very wonky process. It feels like you're meeting your third cousin, Uncle Rico, behind the dark alley, and it's so sketchy because there were almost every single delivery it was this way, where I would get a random call in like the middle of the day or at like 7 a.m. in the morning and say, hey, your delivery's here. And I'm like, what? Mind you, it had gone 4, 6, sometimes 8 weeks without any response or feedback. I had checked in constantly, probably in some cases 3, 4, 5, 6 times to make sure that the delivery is on track. And they wouldn't really give me any update. And then one day they would just be like, oh, by the way, your delivery's here. And I'm like, what do you mean? What delivery? Your two vending machines, they're on site at the facility. So I just had to take off work. I just had to literally say to my boss, hey, I'm sick today. And then I would have to figure it the fuck out. I would like, because we have one car with my wife, because I still have a full-time job, and I'm trying to figure out how I need to manage this business and keep everything rolling. So I'd take off work, would the first time was a nightmare because I didn't have anyone that I could get help from to move the machine. So I literally bought a pallet jack from Harbor Freight. Shout out to you guys. Got the pallet jack, went to the facility, have never used a pallet jack a day in my life. I went to go pick up the machines on the pallet. We went up to the floor where the machines would be delivered, still on the pallet. They're not gonna fit through this tiny ass 34-inch door. Not a chance in hell. So here I am with my dumbass trying to get this vending machine on a pallet through a door. I've never done it before, so how would I know? And what I ended up doing, we took it all the way back down. Again, I don't know how to use a pallet jack, so I'm just swerving this thing down the hallways. Thankfully, I didn't scratch anything. Thankfully, nothing got damaged. But eventually, the guy that was walking with me, that was one of the maintenance crew members for the facility, just said, "Screw it, I'm taking over. I'll just take it from here." And he like moved it all the way back downstairs. And I basically was there the whole day. And I ended up getting a handyman that we've worked with on a couple projects at our house to come help me move this damn machine up to the floor where it needs to go. We get up to the floor again. We end up taking the freight elevator or whatever, the service elevator, whatever the bigger one that you call it, whatever mechanic crew guys are probably yelling at me right now. You get up there, and then we had to take the door off because it couldn't clamshell through, which means that you open the front of the vending machine to sort of jimmy it through at an angle, and then you like close the vending machine at the end to make it tight and to fit it through. So we had to take the door off because it wouldn't fit through. We technically didn't need to, knowing what I know now, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So we took the door off, got the vending machine, both of them through, and then I like set everything up, and it was just a pain in the ass. So that was the first one. I learned from my mistakes, had a pallet jack, knew I needed to go with at least one other person to fill the machines or to put the machines on site. But every single time that we had the machines delivered, the exact same thing happened. There was no heads up. There was no notification. Oh, hey, by the way, your machines are coming tomorrow at this time. It was more of, yeah, like technically they did do that, but it was like days in advance in some cases. They'd be like, hey, your machines are coming, you know, Wednesday between 8 and 2. And I'm like, bro, that's such a big gap. I basically have to take off most, if not all of those days and clear out my schedule so that I could just be on call for when these machines get delivered. And I've done on-call work in the past through some of my other jobs, and I despise it. So that happened again. It was like 7 a.m. and I get a call saying, hey, I'm like 20 minutes out from having your machines delivered. So here I am trying to scramble and get my guy ready. I told him that the same exact thing between 8 and 2. Hopefully we're shooting for the morning. And we get there, it's a little bit smoother, still a bit of a pain in the ass. Did it a third time. And one of the last times that I had the machines delivered to a facility was the smoothest technically, but I had to reschedule it because I was like, it was already what, 2, it was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And I get this call, it's like, hey, your machines are here. And I'm like, all right, great, nothing I can do about it. I'm not gonna go and try to figure this out today. I had told your team that I needed to get the machines delivered on like a notification basis. Like, you need to let me know when the machines are going to be delivered, and then I can schedule ahead of time so that I can be there. And they gave me attitude as if I'm supposed to have spidey senses and know exactly when I need to go to be at this. Or maybe, you know what, thinking forward, if you're going to be in the vending machine business for deliveries, you need to pitch a tent and stay there for 4 to 6 weeks, if not 8 weeks, and just make sure that you're there the exact moment that the machines are delivered so that you don't create any enemies. But if you're like me and you say, hey, you know, you put your foot down eventually and say, hey, like, no, fuck off, like, reschedule this delivery for another time because I'm going out of town tomorrow or whatever. I can't just drop everything I have and go figure this out. Like, we got to do it another day. So I told them that, and they had to bring it all the way back, like an hour, to their warehouse. So then whenever I would come back, it would be delivered whenever I would be home. So that is a bit of a rant, and you know, that's what you get, baby. So I appreciate you watching this, and hopefully you learned something. So in terms of the vending machine business, you know, I have a lot of feedback. I have a lot of good experiences with it, but also some not so fun. And that is one of the biggest gripes that I have about the industry. And you know, other things that come with it, are you're gonna have some pretty crappy customers that are very I guess ungrateful. I mean, it's not like I'm providing a holy water to customers, but at the end of the day, like, I have a contact us sheet and a request form, and I try to make it as very clear as possible that I have, if you want anything, request it and I'll make it happen. People will find me when I'm on site at the facility and be like, oh dude, you got to bring Cheetos, or you got to bring Blue Ranch Doritos. And I'm like, my man, like, I have 4 different signs up that say how you can request products, and you decide to tell me when I'm here without any heads up. Like, how am I supposed to help you right now? Like, I mean, I could try to do it next time, but my man, you got to be better than that. And you know, you guys might call me an asshole, whatever, you know, it's just the name of the game is, like, you show up, you could literally put a tattoo on everyone's face and say, hey, if you need a product or if you request something, let me know. And they'll still wait until you're on site and then tell you. So I'm very grateful for this business and what it's done for me and my family, and like how it's provided for us. But holy hell, man, there are some times where I want to rip all of my hair out and just scream. So I mean, other than that, there's a little, like, couple tiny things here and there, but yeah, that was a big one. That was a big I would call it complaint, that I'm happy that we've moved past a majority of it. We're on to bigger and better things, but as of now, it's just a matter of staying the course, staying consistent, staying strong, staying confident, and just loving each and every day. And we'll see what happens. But I mean, I am going to sell a couple locations right now. I've already made some videos on it, but mainly just because I want to focus on the best performing locations, and I can sell the businesses at a multiple. So I'm selling them for like 12 times monthly revenue. So we'll actually make a pretty good chunk of change from the live locations that I don't want to keep up with anymore. You know, so that being said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And God bless. Stay tuned.